The War of Art by Steven Pressfield is a book that talks about the greatest enemy of every artist, entrepreneur, and pretty much anyone trying to achieve anything worthwhile. So before we begin, I really gotta ask you, do you hold Olympic records for procrastination? Do you procrastinate thinking about your procrastination problem? Do you even procrastinate dealing with the fact that you procrastinate thinking about your procrastination problem? If the answer to any of these is even remotely close to yes, this book is for you. The War of Art will let you learn more about your greatest enemy, or as the author likes to call it, resistance, teach you how to conquer it, and finally start doing the hard actions that you know you should be doing instead of procrastinating. In this video, we will go over the key ideas and takeaways from the War of Art, but before we do, feel free to subscribe and ring the notification bell for more personal finance, investing, business and motivation related content, and weekly book summaries. Takeaway number 1. What is resistance? Resistance is our greatest enemy and the most toxic disease on the planet. Nothing in this world, including poverty and diseases, has caused more unhappiness than it did. Yielding to resistance can crush our spirit and make us less than what we were born to be, yet millions of people succumb to resistance every day. Most of us have two lives, the life we live and the unlived life within us. Between the two stands resistance. You see, it's often not working that's the hard part. It's the act of starting to work instead, and resistance is what keeps us from starting. Here are some of the activities that often elicit resistance. The pursuit of any creative art. The launching of any entrepreneurial venture or enterprise. Any diet or similar health-related regimen. Any kind of effort towards spiritual advancement. Any muscle exercising activity. Any program that aims to overcome any bad habit or addiction. Any kind of education. Any act of courage imaginable, including the decision to change your own behavior and way of thinking. The undertaking of any endeavor that aims to help others. Any act that requires any kind of commitment, and any act that delays immediate gratification in favor of long-term growth, health, and integrity. Takeaway number 2. Manifestations and dangers of resistance. Resistance is invisible, but we can feel it as a negative repelling force that aims to distract us and prevent us from doing important work. Even though we tend to attribute it to outside factors such as other people or our environment, it actually comes from within us. It's self-generated and self-perpetuated. It'll tell you anything you wanna hear just to prevent you from doing important work, and it can never be reasoned with. It doesn't know who you are, nor does it really care. All it wants to do is stop you from doing the action you should be doing, no matter who you are. So here's a quick tip. You can often use this quote-unquote feature of resistance to recognize exactly what you should be doing. Let the resistance guide you. The more important an action is to your long-term evolution, the more resistance you tend to feel towards pursuing it. Resistance never sleeps and never gets tired. The battle with resistance must be fought anew every single day. It's fueled by fear, and we keep feeding it by fearing it. But mastering the fear and self-doubt will leave the resistance starving. Now, the closer you get to the finish line, the stronger the resistance will become. Don't ever let yourself relax thinking you're so close to the finish line that you can take a nap, just like Odysseus did when Ithaca was in his sights. The mighty winds of resistance might finally catch you off guard and blow you far, far away from your destination, just like Aeolus' winds in the bag blew away Odysseus' ship. Make sure you never open the bag of wind until you cross the finish line. Resistance is also contagious, so don't let other people infect you with their own forces of resistance. Fight off the resistance and serve as an example and inspiration to those around you instead. Now, procrastination is the most common and obvious manifestation of resistance. The biggest problem with procrastination is that it can very easily become a habit. Don't let yourself put off your life until you die. And bear in mind that this very moment, is the moment you can change your life forever. Resistance also tends to take form of obsession with actions that give huge immediate gratification. Actions that provide immediate satisfaction, validation, and/or approval of others are the easiest to obsess over, including sex. So if you ever feel empty after any such action, you can immediately be sure that resistance motivated it, not need, passion, love, or lust. Another very common manifestation of resistance is creating soap operas in our lives. Why would you work hard to achieve greatness and draw attention of others as a result of your success, when you can just create some drama in your life and draw the same, if not even more, attention with it? Self-medication and victimhood are not much different really, and while depression and anxiety can be real, a great majority of cases are honestly just resistance, nothing more and nothing less. Even doctors agree that up to 80% of their business is not at all health related. Be very careful, as there are many rationalizations that resistance might present to you just to keep you from doing what you should be doing and try to make you do something else or absolutely nothing instead. And some of those rationalizations might even sound very convincing, but don't fall for it. Succumbing to resistance often causes a huge amount of unhappiness and guilt, but we usually don't even realize that it's the source of it, and we fall to vices that cure the symptoms, but never eliminate the cause. Now, this is a widely known fact, and many people around you in this consumer culture will use it to make money off of you while convincing you that they're trying to help, rather than actually helping you eliminate the causes that lead to those symptoms. Buying a magic pill or product will not fill a void that resistance created inside you, but doing the work it prevents you from doing will. Criticizing other people is often yet another manifestation of resistance. We all know just how crazy it can drive us seeing others that conquered resistance living the better versions of themselves if we've not succeeded in doing so. Take a moment to notice how rarely those who conquered resistance criticize others. It might put things into perspective for you. Takeaway number 3. Pros versus amateurs. All people who get defeated by resistance have one thing in common. They all think like amateurs in contrast to professionals as an ideal. It's widely assumed that amateurs pursue a calling out of love, while pros do it just for money. Now, that's however very debatable. If amateurs love the profession enough, they would not pursue it just on the sidelines. They would give it their all and dedicate their life to it, just like professionals do. Resistance hates this fact about pros. Here's an interesting story. Someone once asked Somerset Maugham if he wrote on a schedule or only when struck by inspiration. "I write only when inspiration strikes," he replied. Fortunately, it strikes every morning at 9 o'clock sharp. See? Now that's a pro. Professionals work for money, but they do the work out of love. They wouldn't devote their lives to it if that wasn't the case. Playing the game for money raises the stakes and forces you to produce a proper professional attitude that keeps you pushing no matter what. The more you love your art, calling, enterprise, the more important its accomplishment is to the evolution of your soul, the more you will fear it and the more resistance you'll experience facing it. Professionals show up every day and no matter what. They stay on the job all day and are committed over the long haul. The stakes are high and real for them as they primarily work for money, not for fun. They don't over-identify with their job and also have a sense of humor about it. They master the technique of the job and gladly receive real-world feedback. Some of the quote-unquote features of pros are great tips to help you combat resistance, which brings us to takeaway number 4, combating resistance. Arm yourself with patience instead of relying on short bursts of enthusiasm, as most projects won't get completed before that enthusiasm runs out. Expect every project to last twice as long as expected and cost twice as much. Don't wait for inspiration. Act in the anticipation of its appearance. Fear can never be overcome, so don't wait to overcome it. Just act in spite of it being there, and once you get into the action, fear tends to go away. Resistance will present a lot of excuses to you, but don't accept them. Respect the resistance, as every time you succumb to it, you are twice as likely to do it again tomorrow. This is why consistency is the key. You must show up every single day. You must be prepared to confront your own self-sabotage every day and master the technique so you can be ready for the moment inspiration strikes. Seek a mentor and listen with both ears, as even the masters can often keep learning something new every day. Learn to never take failure or success personally. Resistance knows how strong fear of rejection is and uses it against us. Taking rejection personally enforces resistance. You must realize that critics are not the enemy, the resistance is. So listen to the critics, but use the feedback to learn and grow instead and improve your work by fixing its shortcomings and making it even better. Don't let the actions of others define your reality. Critics will be gone, but you'll always remain, so keep working and improving. On top of this, learn to recognize envy-based criticism, as it's actually the supreme compliment. Master the technique of your work, and then just follow that process to reach success. The ancient Spartans schooled themselves to regard the enemy, any enemy, as nameless and faceless. In other words, they believe that if they did their work, no force on earth could stand against them. Bear in mind that success and happiness come as a byproduct of work, and while work is not guaranteed to bring you success and happiness, neither can be achieved without work. Takeaway number 5. Beyond resistance. Fighting resistance is hard, but don't worry, there are forces that we can call our allies. It doesn't matter what name you give them, be it muses, inspiration, infinite intelligence, creating influence, or any name imaginable. The most important thing about art is to work, to sit down and keep trying. You see, when we sit down and keep trying, a process is set in motion, and by that process unseen forces come to our aid. Same forces are out there and try to aid many others, but they simply can't because they don't show up every day. Many successful people on top of this love to create their own territory. It makes them feel better every time they go there. It's much easier to beat resistance when you're fighting on your own turf, and your allies know exactly where to find you when you need help, but you can claim your own territory only by hard work. When we sit down and work every day, our muse takes note of that dedication, and we earn her favor. This is how ideas keep coming out of nowhere. Once you commit to action, a whole stream of events occur that would never otherwise occur and are in your favor. Whatever you can do or dream that you could do, begin it at once. To summarize, what is resistance? The act of starting to work, not the work itself, is oftentimes the most difficult part about working, and resistance is what keeps us from starting in the first place. Any activity that makes us grow but doesn't offer immediate gratification will often elicit resistance. Manifestations and dangers of resistance. The more important a task is to our long-term growth, the more resistance towards it we tend to encounter. Resistance will tell us anything we want to hear just to prevent us from doing important work. The battle with resistance must be fought anew every single day. Resistance is fueled by fear and gets stronger the closer we are to the finish line. Pros versus amateurs. Pros love the profession enough that they dedicate their life to it. While they do work for money, they also do the work out of love. Professionals show up every day no matter what, stay on the job all day, are committed over the long haul, the stakes are high and real for them. Combating resistance. Act. There's no better way to combat resistance. You must show up every day. Resistance will tell you anything to make you give up, and every time you succumb to it, you are twice as likely to do it again tomorrow, so consistency is the key. Beyond resistance. When we sit down and work every day, our muse takes note of that dedication, and we earn her favor. This is how ideas keep coming out of nowhere. Whatever you can do or dream that you can do, begin it at once. Thank you for watching, and I really hope this video was useful to you. As a final note, let me just clarify that this is a summary of a book. It's not any kind of advice, and you and only you are responsible for the consequences of your own action and inaction. With that out of the way, there's one new book summary out every week, and much more investing and motivation related content is on the way, so feel free to subscribe for more content, ring the notification bell, leave a like on this video so more people can actually see it, and share it with a friend if you think it will help them. I'll see you next week, so enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye!